So how do you approach business? Do you feel like you go more in the creative way, or you're more like type A, focus, go at it?
Yo creo que I think that my the people that I have done business with will tell you that I'm like super straightforward. Let's organize things. Let's put all the things in the right buckets and move forward. But I feel that I'm not like that. So it's like my own impression of myself is like I'm the creative one, but I'm not. I think that I have been able to surround myself with people that are really creative, and it gives a balance to the thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's a tough question. I feel that it's just that when you love what you do and you're really passionate about it, you don't think about like what is my structure of doing business. And I think that that's something that maybe I'm missing. And then with this new project, I think that things have become more, this is the time. Like, this is the business that it's going to be a legacy business, you know?
And when
I
you
feel that
say
way.
this business, what business are we talking about?
Oh, the Poder Collective.
Okay.
Poder Collective is the last venture. We started with 2 more co-founders. And what we're trying to really do is create a community, an ecosystem of individuals that have never had the opportunity to become effective leaders, right? And nobody has given them the opportunity to get trained, to learn about their own strengths, weaknesses, right? You are able to do this. Like, you could go up in the corporate ladder. Like, you could become a better executive. Like, you could become a more important team player in your job. Or if you are an entrepreneur and you are part of this ecosystem we're creating, that will give you the tools to succeed at your business and managing people and being a holistic leader. And he has a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that this specific business that we started this year, 2025, has been maybe one of the best experiences I ever had. Not just because of what we're trying to accomplish with what we're doing, which is a leadership program, but also a conference, but also private, intimate conversations with stakeholders on the leadership landscape. It's just, I feel that our communities of color and our communities in general, a diverse number of communities, needed this space.
Yeah.
And so I'm also surrounding myself with really talented individuals as part of this ecosystem that we're building.
Yeah, I think that's what I liked about Poder, that you guys are approaching it in a very creative way.
Yeah.
Hence
you. It's
the
not me.
question. But you're the creative one. No, yeah, you've told me Juliana.
Juliana Faust. Yeah,
Juliana
shout out
Faust.
to Juliana.
Yes.
Juliana, it's a unicorn. And if you watching this and you get to Google her, Juliana Faust is maybe one of the most incredible human beings I ever met in my life. Like, really, we clicked, and we also kind of like two trains, dos trenes, right? Like, we have really big personalities because we have led many teams, many organizations in the past. She comes from corporate America, come from, a startup, corporate America, non-for-profit foundations. Like, I've been in the entire ecosystem of businesses, but she is definitely one of the best individuals I ever worked with, and she's amazing. But not just because of what she has done, is the way that she approaches things. I call her the unicorn. She's the unicorn in our company, in our organization. She's just phenomenal, and she's also the coach of the fellowship program. And if you ask all the fellows that we have already graduated, which will be over 30 people by the end of this year, they will all tell you, like, she transformed my life in any way or another. If it was like quitting, we have people who quit their jobs. They're like, this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. And there's other people who got being promoted, and there's other people who have grown their businesses because of her advice and her fellowship program that we have in our ecosystem as Poder Collective. So yeah, Juliana is, I cannot stop talking. We could have a whole thing.
And let's not even get started on Juan.
Oh yeah, no, Juan is another person, and shout out to Juan too. Juanito, it's just that glue, right? He is the energy, he is the community, he is the ambassador of our venture in the community, because he's always in the community. So I'm super excited that he's also part of the project, and he's one of the co-founders. And so I think that we all three make a great team.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so we talked about Juliana, we talked about Juan. Now let's talk about John.
Let's
yes.
talk about John.
No, your favorite
Somebody
subject.
else is coming to talk about
Yes.
John. Chris, you want to talk about John?
Yes, we got to talk about John. I want to
Yeah.
know how. I mean, give me like a short timeline of like your biggest accomplishments and how it got to Poder.
Yeah, no, wow, biggest accomplishments. I mean, from an immigrant who came to the United States with $100 in his pocket. My family was back home in Colombia, right? I moved, or I decided to leave when I was 18. And I called my aunt in New York City, in Queens, New York, and I told her, like, I'm going to the United States. Can you receive me in your house? And she was, yes. She had 2 cousins, Jean Paul and Eduardo, and 2 dogs, Coqui and Junior, and my aunt and myself in an apartment that was a 1-bedroom apartment. It was super
Wow.
small. So I used to sleep in this, this mattress that you open, un catre in Espanol. I don't know how you say it in English. My God, 25 years here and I don't know how to say it. Well, those beds that you open, right? And I used to sleep there. And so my biggest accomplishment at the beginning of this story is being able to learn the language, being able to have the discipline. The first thing my aunt told me when I came to this country was, you have to learn the language. Everyone speaks Spanish around you, but if you want to be successful in this country, you have to learn the language. And that was something that she drilled to me. So she put me into this program in Jackson Heights in Queens, this English immersion program. And it's funny because I just went to that place like 2 months ago when I was in New York City, and I got in and I went up the stairs and the lady was like, what do you need? You need a program? I was like, no, I actually learned English in this place. And it was funny to get the energy, of that place. But I used to go to class every morning from 8 o'clock in the morning until like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And I did a fast track. Like I did a lot of the levels really quick. And so that was my biggest milestone at that time. It was like, now I'm going to college. Like I went to a community college called LaGuardia Community College. Shout out to my CUNY people. And that transformed my life.
Yeah.
I think CUNY was the other milestone. So we go from milestone to milestones. The next one was higher education. That was my American dream. It was not about making money. It was not about sending money back to Colombia. My family was, mid-income. They really didn't need me to really send money back, which was a blessing too. But I think that was the second accomplishment, was higher education. I was able to graduate from my community college with a business administration degree and a concentration in Latin American studies. And then I went into what is called the Harvard of CUNY, right? Baruch College. And I was accepted as a transfer student. And I think that was maybe another accomplishment, was to actually get accepted in one of the most competitive schools at CUNY. And I was able to do that. And through that journey at Baruch, I re-engaged with a friend of mine called Edgar Acero, which was kind of like my shepherd through my process of being a immigrant student who was not born in the United States, who was not really, who was not raised in the United States with Colombian parents. I was by myself. Just my aunt was my mom, was that figure.
Yeah.
And then I think that Baruch I became a senator of the student government. I became an athlete. I played soccer for 3 years with Baruch. I won many awards as the student athlete of the year for my GPA and my performance. So it was just an extremely incredible experience. And then if you go into what was the accomplishment after that, what was the milestone after that, was being able to get out of those odd jobs and making a really brutal decision of not making money, make less money, but getting to an unstable job. And I think a lot of the immigrant communities, they're living any places in the United States, they sometimes stay in that rat race of like that easy money of I was a bartender, I was a waiter, I was a busboy, I was every job you could imagine. In New York City as an immigrant, I work at Jewish parties in the weekends as a waiter. I did everything. 'Cause
All
I
the
needed
odd jobs.
all the odd jobs you could imagine. I was a pizza boy, I was a counter boy, I was a phone person in a pizzeria called Maravellas in Queens. And there was a moment where I needed to just like, that's it. I need to find a job that is within the workforce of the United States in corporate America, non-for-profit world, et cetera, et cetera. So the next milestone was transitioning into that, because sometimes people say like, I'm not going to earn, $3,000 in tips as a bartender that I used to make for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and move it into a job that you get, $10 an hour and you don't
Yeah.
get tips.
Well, I want to put a pause there because
Yeah.
I think that that's a huge thing for immigrants, especially,
Yeah.
where you grow that mindset of like, I deserve.
Mm-hmm.
I deserve to be treated as an American. I deserve to receive the payment as an American and not do the odd jobs.
Yeah.
Did it happen to you like overnight that you're like, you woke up and you're like, I'm tired of this?
No, actually, I have to give credits to. I opened LinkedIn when LinkedIn just started.
Wow.
Yeah, when LinkedIn started, I was maybe one of the first. I would say 100,000 people
That's
who opened
crazy.
them. So I got an edge on that, and I was really dedicated to that platform. And still until today, I'm really dedicated to LinkedIn. And there was a guy who reached out to me actually and said, I heard from you, because I used to do a lot of work in the community in Queens and in New York City as a Latino. I was one of those Latinos that were part of that big group of Latinos that now you hear in New York City. Like the first ever chancellor of CUNY is Puerto Rican now. His name is Felo Matos. He was one of my mentors when I was in college. Then you have people who now is in political office that were my friends when I was in college. So I was that maybe third, second generation of those leaders. So I was always with them, and people kind of like recognized my work. And I got the call from Elkin Arredondo, another Colombian who was the vice president of this company called New Futuro. And it was a technology startup that helped Latino families to understand the process of preparing, applying, and paying for college through a technology that created kind of like a Facebook of the students of Latino origin, getting push notifications about financial aid and degrees and colleges and opportunities.
And this was how many years ago?
That was in
In the 90s. No, I'm kidding.
No, that was early 2000s, right? Like 2006, something like that. Like it was early, and I was there for a couple of years, like maybe 3 years. But that company really transformed my life, because he sent me a WhatsApp, a LinkedIn message, and I was like, "We're recruiting for a director of the Northeast." I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, we heard about you. You have a lot of connections with the Latino community, CUNY, all this.
Wow.
Let's have a call." And I'm like, "This is a spam." So I'm gonna. He's like, "Give me your number." I was like, "No, I'm gonna call you. So give me your number." So I called him, and this 30-minute conversation became like a 2-hour conversation. And so they fly me to Chicago, where's the headquarters, and they tell me like, this is what we try to build. And I'm like, oh my God, you have to give us a presentation tomorrow for your interview. I'm like, oh my God, like 24 hours. And I did the presentation. And when I finished that trip to Chicago, I remember that Elkin took me to a restaurant in Chicago, and he was like, we want to offer you the job.
Wow.
And I was like, okay. Yeah, it's $75,000 a year.
So
And I
hold
was
on.
like- I was
You
like,
went
what?
you went from bartender, odd jobs, to director
Yeah,
of a big corporation like this.
a tech company,
That's amazing.
a startup tech company that I learned everything that I put then after into all the things that I built as an entrepreneur was based on that job. Like I
Wow.
learned everything because, sometimes people, me being a bartender or a waiter or all these different odd jobs that I had, show me that I was another human being, even when I was a director or a CEO or a co-founder. It's always about the people. It's always about taking care of people. It's being nice to people because they are the ones who drive your business. So that has been my core always.
That's right.
When I was the director of strategic partnerships, I always treated people like, I'm having a relationship with Michelle in this case. And it's not about the business, it's about Michelle and John. The business will come after. but you have to create that bond that they trust you.
Yeah.
This is John. This is a person you could trust. It's a person who, when he says he's going to do something, he's going to do
Yeah.
it. That is trustworthy. And I think that that is the biggest asset you could have as an entrepreneur or as a director, as a CEO.
Yeah.
And so when I transfer into this now being in corporate America, for me, $75,000 at that time was like, what? And benefits and insurance. And I was like blown away. And then I learned that maybe after 3 years of being there, I needed to get even more of that, right? I was like, my price in salary maybe needed to be 100K and up. So that's when I started, like, the next milestone was like, I'm going to get into the higher 100,000s. And I started moving until I made it. And through that process of getting into more and more executive positions at a really early age was that I learned that not a lot of people of color, like Latinos specifically, were in those positions of power.
Yeah.
And I had a responsibility to be on that table, making decisions for others. And that was something that I always try to remember as I move now, working for a large non-for-profit and being a co-founder of this venture. It's that, you always have to remember that sometimes you're the only one that could see certain things with certain perspectives and other people's don't.
Yes.
So how you raise your voice and how you include those perspectives in business models or into what we try to build now with Poder, or what I do in my full-time role as Senior Director of Year Up United.
So here's a funny thing. I always tell people we have, as Latinos, right? We have to come in with the knowledge and the understanding of the Hispanic Latino culture, but also apply the principles of the American business culture.
Yeah.
And that gives us a superpower that other people don't have. And I love what you mentioned that, when you were bartending and when you were doing all these odd jobs, you learned about that, about building the relationship, right? Because that's what we do in South America and Central America. We build the relationship before we ask for the business.
Right.
In America, you come here,
Straight
you're like
up.
straight up to business. How much is it? What is it?
Right.
In South America, we do the relationship, let's go have lunch. Let's have a beer together. Let's... who's your
Cafecito.
family, your coffee, like all of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then there's also one part that I want you to talk about, and is the belief that somebody else had in you that brought you up to that platform.
Yeah. No, that is so important. I remember, and I know this is kind of like a cliche thing that we do when we talk about opportunity, right? It's that when this person, Elkin, gave me the opportunity to be part of that executive team and that group of leaders, he always remind us about the elevator, right? That when you get into that elevator of corporate America and you get into those positions in the higher up floors, that you always have to send that elevator back to bring more people with you.
Wow, I love that.
Right. And so that was and has been my way of functioning. Right. I have always, and I know we met through another friend of ours, is that you always have to make sure that you are bringing the individuals that need that opportunity with you, because somebody give you that opportunity. So your responsibility, and I always think that is my responsibility as a human being, and as a leader, is to bring others that maybe don't have the opportunity to get into that elevator to go up, right? So I think part of what we do at Poder is doing that, giving people the opportunity to get trained and be visible in their organizations and say, like, look, I just went through this program. I just went to the conference. I just, I was exposing to these Poder talks. And now I have all these skills and all these tools that I could use in my job, with my family, with my loved ones. It's not just about the workforce piece of it. It's also that we're creating people that give the hand to someone to cross the street, that pick up the garbage in the streets, that they become leaders of the community in many ways, not in this that have the microphone, not in this that have the spotlight, right? I think that sometimes we concentrate too much into that and we don't see the micro ways of being leaders with little things that we do every day.
Absolutely.
Being kind, saying hello, saying I'm sorry. I think that those are maybe bigger things that sometimes being in the spotlight with a microphone sharing a story.
That's gold right there. I think sometimes people see like, like the people that service us and
Yeah.
they think, oh, they're lesser than us, or, they
Oh
have
my
a
God.
lower paying job. And then we can see how, things like that make them even greater leaders because
And
they know the power of service.
well, I want to share a little story. I don't know how much time we have left, but when I came here, I told you about my aunt Cecilia, and if you want to talk about leadership and empathy, I think there is nobody in my life like my aunt. She came maybe over 50 years ago. She brought the majority of her family, my uncles and aunts came with her. So she gave them the opportunity when the citizenship was like, you pay like $50 and you get your passport, right? There was no lines, there was no process.
Yeah.
There were the labor that this country needed to be built on what it is now. But she has spent over 40 years working at the same place, at a hotel, making a livable wage, check by check. But her greatness was not that of like getting to become the executive at a hotel. Her greatness was to helping others and elevating others. And I always said, and I had a chapter on a book not too long ago, and in which I talk about my aunt because I think that she was the biggest impact in my life. She was the one who told me about caring about others. She was the one who taught me about successful is not being an executive, successful is helping others. And that's what I have really done throughout my career. Either started new organizations or new companies or anything that I do, it's helping people. It's not about profit. Profit will come if you do the right things. So when we talk about those individuals that you don't see them as CEOs, executives, but they caring, they take care not just of their own family but others. I mean, I
Yeah.
always heard co-workers from my aunt telling me like, "Tu tía es increíble," your aunt is amazing, and everyone loved her. And she retired, but she still works on the side.
Of
Like
course.
it's this person who never gets stopped. But my aunt is maybe the biggest leader I have ever seen, and she's not a CEO, which is to our point. Like sometimes those individuals have more impact in people than reading a book from a
Yeah.
big leader in our community.
And they know more than us. I mean, my goodness, I've learned from my mom, and she was in the cleaning services, and she taught me more about people and customer service and relationships than anybody else.
Yeah, for sure.
So now that we're talking about, helping others and everything, right? We also have to touch on helping ourselves and how important it is to take care of ourselves before we can help others. And I know you have a big story about that. You're a big advocate about a very special cause, and I want to talk about that. So please tell me the story of how burnout got the best of you
Yeah.
and what happened after that.
Yeah, it's tough to talk about these things. I think that maybe this is the first time I'm talking about it.
Wow.
I try to keep it in the back burner. I don't know why. And so many people, it's like you have to share your story. So I started this year to share it in a collateral way, if you want to call it, like doing workshops with young adults and in universities and try to share my story. But yeah, to your point, I was in this high of being successful and really being at the top of the rock, my rock, right? What I thought it was my Everest was, I was running for office here in Broward County for the school board. Great family. My son was 5 years old. We used to live here in Sunrise, an incredible apartment house. How you call that? An apartment in 2-floor apartment, beautiful place. I mean, everything was fine. I was earning good money. My wife was doing great, and then discover an aneurysm, right? For the ones that don't know what is an aneurysm, it's what is called in the medical terms a ticky bomb in your head. That's it. You don't know you have it. You don't go like you go to the dentist or you go into a checkup every year to, oh, can you check my brain for an aneurysm? Like you don't do that. And it's one of those things that kill a lot of people in the United States, in the world. Like you could be driving and the aneurysm bursts and you're done. Like, or you could have, a heart attack, or you are actually, you could get actually a lot of collateral damage on your body because of an aneurysm bursting or bleeding. And so, yeah, it was to a point where I was involved in way too many things. I was in a lot of boards. I was running an organization. I was part of a lot of community groups. Somebody told me to run for office, and I was also running for office, right?
With
So it
all of
was
that.
like a million things happening. And the only thing that I have as an exit from all the stress, from all the things, is playing football, playing soccer. And so one weekend I go into the field and I feel dizzy, and it was like 90 something degrees outside. So of course I'm like, is this, I'm going to get a migraine. I used to suffer of migraines when I was a little kid. And I was like, it's a migraine. So I couldn't see from one eye. It's what is called the peripheral migraines. And so I go home. And my wife said, you drove like this? I'm like, yeah, I mean, I'm going to take a Tylenol. I'm going to go to sleep and it's going to be fine. And I wake up after maybe an hour and half of my body is numb.
Wow.
I don't feel my mouth. I don't feel anything. And I'm like calling my wife. I'm going nuts. And then the biggest thing when I share internally, and thank you, Michelle, for making the platform to share. But when I share internally, now sharing it with the world, it's that in this community, it's that my biggest fear was when I went down the stairs of my apartment house, and and I see my father-in-law, and it's like I'm seeing you right now, and I think about your name, Michelle, and I'm seeing your name in my head, but I cannot verbalize it.
Wow.
So I asked my wife, it's like, what is his name? Even though I know, but I cannot say his name. So I recognize you, Michelle, but I cannot verbalize your name.
Wow.
And that's when I freaked out.
Yeah.
And so we go through it's a long story, but then we go into a different moments in the hospital, and then they finally find the aneurysm, and they tell me, like, you have to get surgery. And to be honest, the only moment where all this story clicks, it's when I'm at home recovering from my surgery. Like for me, being at the hospital, waiting to get into the surgery, getting to see the neurosurgeon, all these things where like I didn't even know what is going on. And I cannot imagine, and shout out to my wife, which is an angel and an incredible human being, that I was able to just really went through all this because she was present. I was not. I was like a person that had an aneurysm that was about to get into surgery. I didn't know they were about to open my head. Like they
Wow.
opened my head. It's like una olla a presión, right? Like when you put the cooker and you close it, this is your brain. Like it's never going to get out. They open this thing and they going to clip an aneurysm and save your life. And so part of the process is, to make this story really short, it's that when I went to the neurosurgeon, he says, the only reason that we are scared is because of all the things that happened to you. Your body got numb twice. You got all these different things that happened during that I was in the hospital. And he's like, it looks like your aneurysm may be bled. It's the only way to understand this.
Wow.
And of course that's scary, because if it bursts, you could die. So we do the surgery, all these things happening. I go a month after the surgery. I couldn't really walk, so I go with a wheelchair. My wife is taking me to the hospital. We go into University of Miami. Shout out to University of Miami. And we go through all this, and the neurosurgeon said, "You're the miracle boy." I'm like, yeah. We don't know what happened, but when we open your brain, when we clip the aneurysm, there was no sign of your aneurysm bleeding or that it bled at certain point. There was a higher call that makes sure that you didn't die with this in your brain, but it was not a medical thing. because we checked, and none of that happened for you to have either the numbness on your body or having your migraine. None of that. So yeah, and then after 3 months, I was perfect. I was walking, my hands
Wow.
movement was perfect. So they told me like, you are definitely. When I went the third month, they were like, you walking. Like he
You're
saw me
walking.
walking, he was like, let me
That's
see your
incredible.
hands. Are you feeling something? And the only thing that I had as a kind of like a collateral damage from the surgery was for certain months after that, maybe like half of a year, almost 7 months, was the lagging on talking. Like I was thinking about what I was about to say, and the verbalizing took time. But then after, like, they
Yeah.
were like, it's normal, this is gonna go away. And sometimes it happens to me when I'm in these interviews on these things that I get it for a moment. But
Yeah.
but besides that, I think that was the biggest thing that happened during that period of time. And my invitation to everyone who's watching this is that there is no money, there is no famous position, there is no executive role that is more valuable than your health. And there's nothing more important that you taking care of yourself, that you sleeping well, that you eating well, that you drinking water, that you doing what you love, if it's yoga, exercise, running, whatever that you decide to do. Do not put that aside because of fame or because of you want to grow in your career or because you want to be the best CEO. I laugh at people who recommend people that if you want to be successful in a startup or in a company, you need to, sacrifice everything and not go to sleep. And I don't believe in that. I
That's
think
crazy. Yeah, that 4 hours sleep thing.
yeah, no. You have to really take care of yourself. And so my invitation for everyone, younger, more seasoned leaders, it's that just take care of yourself. Sleep, be a little bit of a jerk when it comes into, why are you not meeting at 6 o'clock at night? Because I have to put my son to sleep, and I'm going to sleep too. Like, it's my time to go to sleep, and I'm the old person at home. It's like I go to sleep at 8:30.
Yeah.
I wake up at 4:35 in the morning, but I go to sleep at 8 o'clock. And my wife has also been a really good help too. You need to have like an accountability person, and I think
Yeah.
my wife has been really good at it. And it's like, why are you in a meeting at 9 o'clock? Why are you in a meeting at 10 o'clock at night? Like, that we don't do that. Like, you have to take care of yourself, and I think you need those people. It could be your best friend, it could be your loved one, it could be a family member.
Yeah. At the end of the day, like you say, there's no amount of money that is worth your health or, you not being there for your loved ones anymore. I've met many people that have died of aneurysms. Like I had never met somebody that survived one, as a matter of fact. And the fact that you're estás completico, like you're
Yeah, it's a
exercising, you're
miracle.
running these businesses, and I think that it goes full circle because you mentioned doing business in a holistic way.
Yeah.
So does that include, making space for, for those things, for sleep, for exercise, for all of that?
I think more important than that, I mean, that is critical, right?
Yeah.
It's sleeping well, it's hydrating yourself. Like, I always have a bottle of water with me. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, when I don't have water, and it happens with my family, transcend to that. So my son, my wife, we drink water all the time. But I think that when you try to have a healthy community around you as a co-founder or in part of a venture, is that you have to also make sure that the people who work with you and who are around you helping you to build these things, that they feel the same care. So for example, in our team meetings, when we have meetings, we don't start with like, okay, let's go to business agenda. Item number 1 is like, let's do a checkup from 1 to 10. How you feeling today? You need to know how these people are coming into the meetings,
Yeah.
right? It might be a problem at home. It could be they have kids and they have some issues, or they have someone ill in their families. Like, you need to really understand how you're feeling to come into this meeting. If your energy is 2, maybe you should not be in this meeting, right? You should be taking care of what it is important. The business is going to run without you right now, because we are a team, and people need to really understand that. So sometimes when I go into meetings and it's like, oh, agenda item number 1, and there's no like what is happening with our lives before we get into this meeting, for me, that's troubling. And the second thing I would say is that you have to create spaces every year to make sure that people are being vulnerable. And I think that I am the same person when I go to work that I'm the same person when I'm home. And my wife hates it, right? Because I'm the same person. Sometimes it's just I'm structured the way that I'm in the business as I'm at home. And sometimes, my wife's like, oh, you're too structured, no sé qué, la vaina. And then we got the arguments. And I'm like, I can't be the other person. I can't be one person in one place and another person in another place.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate when people are happy with what they do and then not just filling a seat. They want to be there and it's connected to your life. Like what I do right now is connected to my purpose. And that's what I told you. Like, this is my legacy project. This is what I want to leave Broward with. This is what I want to leave Miami with. This is what I want to leave West Palm Beach with. Is that they said, this kid from Colombia who came and did all this throughout his career, the last thing that he built was to create impact in our communities, to make sure that we have the leadership that we need, especially nowadays, to be caring, holistic, to be leaders that could communicate with different people. Sometimes it's not about someone being different, it's us not being open to that difference. And if we are able to have conversations with everyone without putting them into a bucket, I think that is when our community grow. So when we have poder and bring in fellows into a place to be better leaders in their communities, we don't look into their skin color, we don't look into their political view, we don't look into their religion, we look into the human being. Are you ready for this transformational thing? Yes. We don't talk about politics. We don't talk about religion. We talk about you as a leader and how you could become a better person. Because if you think, and with this last thing to finish that point, is that I was in a cruise not too long ago with my family. And I bet you there was people from different political spectrums in that place. We all leave together in Kumbaya for the 7 days we were on the cruise. Nobody asked nobody, like, do you believe in this? Do you believe in that? No, everyone was having dinners and we were having good times. And nobody was thinking, when we don't judge the other person and we put them in a bucket, I think that we are a better society because we could have a conversation. Maybe when I talk to you, you already know what is your political view, your religion view, whatever it is. But if I'm open to listen to it, I expand my knowledge. I expand my leadership skills. I expand my views to the world. And how beautiful is that? And this country has everything to do that. We have people from all over the world. And so I think we're missing that now. It's like we try to cancel people because of how they think. And I think that as leaders now, we have the responsibility, especially us that we come from this new generation of leadership, that we need to really think about how is that we are communicating with others. Are we just canceling out because they believe in something that I don't believe? Or I'm listening to that and incorporating some parts of it into what I am right now?
That's amazing. I don't even that could be like a mic drop right there. I want to thank you, and this is the reason why I was interviewing you today, because you mentioned you're the first guy
I'm the first guy.
interview.
Yay.
So
more to come.
Yay. Yes, more to come. But I think that after we had that first talk and you showed me how open-minded, how much you lean into diversity, right? And giving a platform to everybody and equality. I think that that's amazing. And that should be more in the spaces in corporate America. We should see that more in government, in all the spaces that you're trying to make an impact. So thank you for trying to make an impact in all these places. That boy from, Colombia, the miracle boy from Colombia, and how you're also talking about taking care of yourself. Not many men out there are talking about this, because we have this mentality of like a man has to be strong, has no feelings, has no needs. And that needs to be talked about more. So thank you for sharing your story with us.
Yeah, no.
Is there something that, any last thing that you want to talk about, that you wish more people asked you about? And
no, I mean, we all have different stories, right?
Yeah.
And I think that these spaces are great for sharing. Like I never share my aneurysm thing, so I appreciate the space to share it. And I think I feel safe to share it. I do commend the work that you're doing, Michelle, and thank you for bringing individuals here, to now men and women, to be part of this space. And the people behind the curtains, of course, that make this possible. But I think that at the end of the day, my only message, if we want to finish this interview, is that do not negotiate who you are for anything. And remember that you are not a position, you are a human being. And what I mean by that is that if you're the president, the CEO, the co-founder, the founder, whatever it is that you have in that high title, because it's a high, it's not who you are. Because when you leave that position, you are going to remember loyalty. You're going to remember people who actually were able to recognize you as an individual and not as your title. So do not negotiate what you do, your ethics, your values for recognition on a title. The title will go, and you will continue walking your walk and impacting people in any place that you go if you really truly believe that that is your call. So my invitation to people who are watching this sometimes is upcoming leaders or already established leaders is that nowadays with social media, people could take an individual that has done great things for the community and destroy it by canceling them out. And so do not feel that that is your power. Your power is being yourself, so everyone will know who you are. So for everyone who's watching, just that's my biggest message, and something that I have hardly learned is that you are not the title. You have to keep being you. And being you means aligned with your values, aligned with your goals, aligned with your purpose. Don't change that for anything.
Amazing. Amazing. Okay, let's finish up with the last thing is you mentioned you have Poder Collective, right? I want to be able to, put links and everything so that people can connect to this.
Yes.
So how does it work? If somebody sees potential in somebody on their corporation or organization, they can nominate them, right?
So it's a nomination process. And why we do it that way is because we don't want to put pressure on people going through an application, right? There is an interview process. At a certain point, you get interviewed by either myself or one of our co-founders. But the idea is that if you see someone with leadership potential, that has been stalking corporate America, non-for-profit, government agencies. I mean, we serve all of them. And you feel it would be a good fit for a 4-month program that is hybrid, 2 sessions in person, 4 sessions online, in South Florida and now in New York City. You are able to nominate them by sending an email to the email that is in our website. Is animate@podercollective.com. And you could put the name of the person, the phone number, and the email, and we will reach out and we will figure it out and say, XYZ person nominated you for this program. Are you interested in learning more? And then we start the process. The other ways you could nominate yourself. I mean, if you're watching this and say, I want to learn more, go to our website. It's going to be there, the link, podercollective.com. And then you learn more about what we do. And you could also nominate yourself. You could, and we have a couple of people out of the 30 plus that we graduated by the end of this year that nominated themselves. They were like, I'm ready for this. I'm going through a transition. I just got out of corporate America and started my business. Or I've been doing this business for 5 years and I want to learn more skills to be a better leader in my business. Or I'm an elected official who's nominating someone because I don't want to nominate myself, but I want to nominate someone or somebody in the non-for-profit world who is, seeing that this could be a change maker. We have 22 partners from corporate America to non-for-profit to government agencies to individuals. They help us on that nomination process, but that's how it works. It's really organic. It's really, I would say, a little bit laid back, but that's the idea. The idea is that nobody feels the pressure of I need to get into this program and I need to get recommendation letters and I need to do a 200 essay to get in. Are you ready? At the end of the day, if you put all these things and there's 15 sessions in other programs, it's did you really thought about this and you're ready for this, right? We give the person the idea of it's not about all the things that you have as a leader in the community. It's more about you personally. Are you ready to transform your life? If you aren't, nominate yourself. If you know someone that is ready, that you see grow, or that you see needs that push to grow even more, nominate that person and then tell them. And If you need me to grab coffee with any of you, my social media is going to be there. Send me a DM. I'm more than happy to grab coffee and tell you more about the program.
Awesome. Thank you so much, John.
No,
all the
thank you,
best
Michelle.
for Poder and
Thank you.
many, many more states to come, right?
Yes, many, many more states. For now, New York.
Wonderful. Okay. Thank
Awesome.
you.
Thank you.